there, I'm Pastor Molly, and you are watching Z Kids Online.
Hey Pre-Z Kids, are you ready for this month's memory verse? Power clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Power clap. A friend loves at all times. Proverbs 17:17. Hi friends, I can't wait to share a super amazing, totally true story from the Bible. Today's true story from the Bible happened at a house where two sisters lived. Their names were Mary and Martha. Mary and Martha were friends with Jesus. One day, they heard Jesus was coming to visit them at their house. They were so excited. Do you like to have friends over at your house? I know I do. It's so great to spend time with friends. As soon as Jesus got to Mary and Martha's house, Mary sat down right at his feet. Mary wanted to hear everything Jesus had to say. Her friend, Jesus, was here at her house, and she didn't want to miss anything. But Martha, well, she had things to do. Martha was cooking, she wanted there to be yummy food for her guest, and she was also cleaning. Martha was working so hard to try to make everything perfect because she loved Jesus so much. Finally, she went to Jesus and said,
Jesus, I just don't understand. I'm doing all the work. Mary doesn't help at all. It's not fair. Can you tell her to help me? Please? Please?
Do you know what Jesus said? Jesus told Martha that spending time with him is the best thing to do. Martha didn't need to be worried about the cooking and the cleaning. Jesus just wanted Martha to spend time with him. That's the kind of friend Jesus is. He doesn't need everything to be just right. He loves us no matter what, and he wants to spend time with you. Jesus loves spending time with us and wants to be our friend forever. Jesus loves you, and he wants to spend time with you. Tell me, who loves you? Jesus loves you. You got it. Jesus wanted to spend time with Mary and Martha, and he wants to spend time with you too. Because why? Jesus loves you.
Hey Z Kids, are you ready for this month's memory verse? Power clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Power clap! Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself in compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Colossians 3:12. Hello friends, my name is Miss Kate and I'm so excited for Wednesday Night Online. This month, we're all super fans. We're cheering each other on and choosing to show kindness. Kindness is showing others they are valuable by how you treat them. It's important for us to show kindness and treat others the way they want to be treated. After all, God has been so kind to us. We can follow his example as we choose to show kindness to the people he's put in our lives. Are you ready for this week's Bible in 5? Let's go! First, there was a woman named Naomi. Naomi had a husband and 2 sons. Second, due to a famine or lack of food in their hometown of Bethlehem, Naomi and her family left Bethlehem and moved to another land, a place called Moab. And third, while they were there, her sons married women from Moab. And tragically, Naomi's husband and 2 sons all died. So as our story starts, Naomi was alone except for her 2 daughters-in-law, though she knew she probably would have to say goodbye to them too. I mean, why would they stick around still if they didn't have husbands and children to stay for? I'm guessing you know the name of at least one of the daughters-in-law. That's right, Ruth. And the other was Orpah. But finally, in the midst of all the tragedy, Naomi got a glimmer of good news. The famine in her homeland was over, and so she decided to head back to her home in Bethlehem. And the time came to part ways with the only remaining family she had in Moab. Ruth 1:8 says, Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, both of you go back, each of you go to your own mother's home. You were kind to your husbands who have died. You have also been kind to me. So may the Lord be just as kind to you. Naomi knew they still had a good chance at a good life, a fresh start, if they just started over in Moab. Orpah agreed with Naomi and went back home. But listen to what Ruth said. Ruth replied, don't try to make me leave you and go back. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. That is so incredible. Ruth refused to return home and instead pledged to stay with her grieving mother-in-law. Ruth showed incredible kindness to Naomi, even though it would cost her her comfort, security, and safety. Oh, hey, Bee. Welcome to the Bible in 5.
Hey, this might help with your story.
Thank Thank you. A bottle of glue? Oh, because Ruth stuck with Naomi. Get it? That was quite clever of Bianca. Yes, Ruth stuck with Naomi. So Naomi and Ruth traveled all the way back to Bethlehem. As hard as this was, they received some good news when they arrived. The fields were full of barley, and it was time for barley harvest. But they also faced some bad news. Naomi and Ruth had no money, and therefore, no food. They had nothing. Naomi's outlook on life was so low that she started having people call her Mara, which means bitter. Thanks. Weird. What's this mess? Oatmeal? Some kind of grain? Oh, it's barley! Ruth knew that God had made a way for his people to care for those who were going through a hard time and didn't have money to get food. See, in those days, you had to harvest the fields for grain. This here is barley. And when Naomi and Ruth returned to Bethlehem, it was for the barley harvest. Now, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't help them very much because they don't have a field. Well, that is where God's plan comes into play. See, God asked his people when they harvest to leave whatever extra they dropped or missed for the poor in their community. Then, the poor would come behind the harvesters and pick up what was left. This was called gleaning. Check out what Ruth says to Naomi. Ruth 2:2 says, Ruth said, "Let me go out to the fields. I'll pick up the grain that has been left. I'll do it behind anyone who is pleased with me." Naomi agreed to this, and so Ruth headed down to the fields to pick up the scraps. Now, she didn't end up in just some random field. The field happened to belong to a guy named Boaz, a relative of Naomi's deceased husband. Boaz was a faithful follower of God. Check it out. Boaz said to Ruth, "Dear woman, listen to me. Don't pick up grain in any other field. Don't go anywhere else. Stay here with the women who work for me. Keep your eye on the field where the men are cutting grain. Walk behind the women who are gathering it. Pick up the grain that is left. I've told the men not to bother you. When you are thirsty, go and get a drink. Take water from the jars the men have filled." Boaz went out of his way to be kind to Ruth. Not only had Boaz heard her story and knew what she had been through, but he had also heard about the kindness she showed to her mother-in-law by staying with her in her time of need. And check out Ruth's reaction. Ruth 2:10 says when Ruth heard that, she bowed down with her face on the ground. She asked him, "Why are you being so kind to me?" When Ruth told Naomi all that had happened, Naomi was overjoyed. She exclaimed how Boaz was their family protector, that he could help them in their difficult situation. So Naomi made a plan. Special delivery! A feather? Quill? Maybe writing a letter? Or it could be a bird. Wings? Wings! That's it. Nice. Okay, I've got it. So after harvesting all of the fields, the workers would gather at what is called the threshing floor, where they would go and do the work of separating the grain from the stalks. They would often sleep there to make sure that nobody messed with their harvest. Well, one night when Boaz was sleeping, who should happen to show up but Ruth? Boaz woke up to find Ruth, who told Boaz that he was the family protector. She asked him to take her, ready for it, under his wing and protect her. Now, what was amazing about this is this was what Boaz had said during his first meeting. He told her, "May God take you under his wing." And now Ruth was saying, "You are the way that God is going to do that." Look at how Boaz responded. Ruth 3:11 says, "Dear woman, don't be afraid. I'll do for you everything you ask. All the people of my town know that you are an excellent woman." Boaz again responded in kindness to Ruth. But there was one problem. See, in that culture, it was the obligation of the nearest relative, the closest family protector, to help out desperate family members first. And Boaz was not the closest family member. There was someone who was closer, someone who had the responsibility. So Boaz pledged to go and talk to this family member and see if they would step up and fulfill their role.
Tea and crumpets for you, my dear.
What, do I look like the Queen of England? Okay, this one's a stumper. Oh, no, it's not. Brilliant. On to our final scene. So the next day, Boaz headed out to the city gates and found the family member who was the closest protector. Boaz told him all about Naomi and her sad story. And he told him about Ruth and talked to him about marrying her. Now, this family protector considered the land, but he would not consider marrying Ruth. So he denied his obligation, meaning that Boaz was now the closest relative. So what was with this? Well, in that time, there was a custom when land was traded that one person would take off their sandal and give it to the other. That was a sign that the business had taken place. Pretty funky, huh? So Boaz bought back the land that they were going to lose and married Ruth, preserving the family line that seemed like it was going to be lost forever. Want to know something even more wild? Boaz and Ruth had a son named Obed, who had a son named Jesse. You know what Jesse named his youngest son? David. Boaz and Ruth are King David's great-grandparents. And eventually, Jesus would come through this family line.
I love this story because it's so easy to see the impact that kindness, true kindness, can make. But it's also important to see that true kindness might cost us something. Think about it. The easy choice for Ruth would have been to go back to Moab and start over again. But instead, she stuck to Naomi and went with her instead. Boaz could have only cared about the dollar signs he would lose by letting the poor have all of his loose grain. But instead, he went above and beyond, allowing Ruth to pick grain from the field, giving her more than she ever asked for and protecting her while she provided for Naomi. And then he eventually brought back the land and married Ruth.
And let's not forget God's role in all of this. God cared for the poor among his people through the gleaning in the field. In his kindness, God brought all of these people and events together in order to care for Naomi and Ruth in their brokenness and to help continue their story.
God truly was the one who protected Naomi and Ruth, and under his wings.
But what about us? What can we learn from this? Well, maybe you've considered showing kindness, but the cost made you second guess it. Maybe you knew it would take more time than you were willing to give. Or maybe it would involve giving up something. Maybe it would cost you some of your reputation or how you look to a certain group of people.
In Ruth's story, kindness was shown between family members or relatives, mother-in-laws and family protectors. Why is it so hard to be kind to the people closest to us? Sure, your siblings might get on your nerves once in a while, or you don't want to do what your mom has asked. But even those closest to us, our family and friends, deserve our kindness. Kindness matters, and it can make a huge difference.
Because of the kindness of Boaz and Ruth, Naomi now had a home with them. Obed later had a son named Jesse, who was the father of King David. Many hundreds of years later, Jesus was born as part of their family line. We can be like Boaz, Ruth, and Naomi. They were kind to their family and friends, and we can be too. Remember, be kind to your family and friends.
Thanks for watching. To stay up to date, you can like, subscribe, or ring the notification bell.